This is Mrs. O'Neill for your Chapter 11 review questions and problems. Again, take a moment to look at this picture and the difference between intramolecular forces, which would be your bonds inside a compound, and an intermolecular forces, which are the forces that hold one compound to another. You're going to watch the video and pause when you see that question or problem, and some of them have multiple parts. You can answer them either mentally or on paper, but either way, you should have your calculator and your reference sheets out and available. Play the video or continue playing the video to see the answers and or solutions and or explanations. And some of these are above and beyond what you're going to see on the test in class, but will be extremely helpful for your AP exam. So number one, intermolecular forces. Hopefully you saw a pattern because only letter A decreases. All the other ones increase. Number two, your colorless liquids. Hopefully you paused and came up with some answers. So A's answer, B, C, D, and E. Hopefully those make sense to you. And we're moving on to isomers. I want to remind you that an isomer means that you have the same chemical formula but different structures. And here again, we see some organic compounds. Not only are these isomers, but they're even above and beyond the cis and trans isomers. So I want to remind you that cis means that your groups are on the same side, and trans means that they are on opposite sides. This is something that you might see on your AP exam. Again, they're going to give you those two structures, and at a glance you might go, wait, they look exactly the same. So be really, really careful with what elements are where. So on my AP exam, I would probably circled or just highlighted, chlorine's top or maybe chlorine's diagonal. So again, you want to write and do as much on that paper as possible, and that might trigger some things. So now, understanding that information, can you answer A and B? And here we go. A. Hopefully that makes sense. And B. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, it's all about those forces and how strong they are. For normal boiling points, and remember your normal boiling points are the boiling point at 1 atmosphere. Pressure, obviously. All right, and here we go. That's a nice little chart for you anyways, and hopefully the explanation. And remember that word polarizability is always a good word to use if we're dealing with strengths and size and how many electrons there are. And acetone. And here we go, letter A. Letter B, letter B. Letter C. And now for letter D, if you didn't get a chance to draw the structures yet, you might want to pause, but I do have them on the next slide as well. So here is acetone in the green and the 1-propanol in the pink. So now this should kind of trigger something as to help you answer the letter D. All right, and now pause, and hopefully this makes sense. I also want to remind you that hydrogen bonding is when nitrogen, oxygen, or fluorine is bonded to hydrogen in one molecule that's going to be bonded in another molecule. So even though there's an O opening here, the oxygen here is connected to carbon, so that is not hydrogen bonding. The oxygen here, however, is bonded to oxygen is bonded to hydrogen, so you would have hydrogen bonding here. So please be careful as to where that oxygen, or I should say where the oxygen is, as well as who the oxygen is bonded to in that molecule. Organic compounds, and again, there's a table on the next slide to help you. So from these compounds, can you answer those questions? And again, I want you to notice some of them are just carbon and hydrogens. This guy has bromine, this guy has oxygen, this guy has bromine, this guy has oxygens. Okay, so these two are very similar, but the bromine's inside versus at the end. And again, these two are very similar where the oxygen's in the middle and the OH is at the end, which you kind of just saw that information. So again, heat of vaporization. Vaporization means that you're vaporizing, you're going from that liquid to a gas phase. So hopefully now this list with these compounds, now we can answer those questions. So here's your structures and molar masses. And we labeled them as I, and so on, or you could have just done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Either way, but those are those Roman numerals. And here we go for answer to A. Answer to B. And now remember, they're talking about shapes, right? The more rod shape, rod meaning just like a straight chain. And again, you might not have drawn them kind of like the up and down. You could have just drawn them straight across with those bonds, and that's fine as well. Letter C. Letter D. All right, have fun and good luck on your test.